All right, well, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Good, awesome. You guys excited? Yeah, we're gonna meet some animals. You guys excited for the new year? You guys all set in your calendar that you need to cancel that gym membership you're never gonna use? Yeah, February 1st, remember. Don't forget to cancel it, it costs a lot. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Colby. I'm an educator with Wildlife Encounters. Who here has seen Wildlife Encounters before? All right, looks like quite a few of us. Who here has never seen us? This is your first time ever? Awesome, well, welcome. And who here, your kids drag you to 100 of these a year? You have no idea if you've seen us before. Fair enough. All right, well, we are an educational company located out of Rochester, so about half an hour away. And we take care of over 100 different animals from all around the world. In fact, today, we have 6 animals representing 6 of the world's 7 continents. Yeah. There's one continent we won't be visiting today, though. Anyone have any guesses which one we won't be visiting? What do you think? What was that? Yeah, Antarctica. Unfortunately, we don't have any penguins, so no Antarctic animals today. We will, however, be visiting all of the others. Anyone know what the other continents are? What's one of them?
North America, South America, Asia,
Africa. Australia. And you forgot the last one. So we got North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Australia. Anyone know what the last one is, other than Antarctica? Europe. There we go. So those are these 6 continents that we are going to be visiting today. Now, before we do get into these animals, though, I have a couple rules I need everyone to follow. So please make sure that we're following these rules throughout the duration of our presentation. Rule number 1 is I'm going to ask everyone to remain in your seat throughout the duration of our presentation today. Now, of course, you are not a captive audience. They don't let me do that anymore, not after what happened the last time I did. But if you are going to be staying throughout our show, I'm going to ask that everyone remain in your seats. Please don't try to run around, move around, make a lot of fast movements. That does scare the animals. If you do have to leave for any reason, you're welcome to do so. I'm on the stage, so I'm not super worried about it, but don't come on the stage without being invited. And try to leave this space open. If you're gonna leave, try not to cut right in front here. But yeah, so that's rule 1. Rule number 2, I'm gonna ask, this is gonna be the hard one. I'm going to ask everyone to keep our voices as quiet as we can. We do have live animals. Live animals react to loud noises. I know we have a big group today as well. So in order to make sure, 1, everybody can hear me, and 2, my animals are as comfortable as can be, I'm going to ask volume to be kept to a reasonable level. Rule number 3, this is also an important one. Everyone show me your hands. Hands up, there we go. Now put them in your lap. If we're going to be staying through the show, I'm going to ask that we keep our hands to ourselves. At the end of the show, we will have one animal that everybody gets to touch, if you'd like to. But that is at the very end when I'm done talking. The other animals, I might have a volunteer or 2. We'll see. But other than that, they're not going to be touched by everybody. Look around, see how many people there are. If I let everybody touch every animal, we're going to be here until New Year's Eve of 2025. So we need to just make sure that we keep our hands to ourselves. Also, some of our animals could injure you. You could injure some of them, and some of them are just straight up illegal. And if you touch them, I lose my job. My degree is in captive wildlife care and education with a minor in frog biology. Yes, those are real degrees. Yes, my parents are incredibly proud. But with those degrees, I can only do so much. So if I lose this job, I can't get a real one. So help me keep this job by keeping our hands to ourselves. With that said, are you guys ready to meet some animals? All right. Well, we're going to start in North America and also in Europe and also in Asia, because this animal is found in all 3 of those continents. Now, there's one type of habitat that takes up the entirety of the northern parts of all 3 of those continents. Anyone know what habitat that would be? What do you think? A forest, so it's higher than the forest, north of the forest, way at the tippy top. Mountains? No. The tundra. And there's a bunch of different kinds of tundra. The one we're going to be visiting with our first animal is specifically the Arctic tundra. Now the Arctic is of course home to all kinds of animals like polar bears and reindeer and narwhals and stuff. But one of my personal favorites happens to be the Arctic fox. All right. This is Loki. Loki is our 1.5, maybe 2, I'm not quite sure if he's hit 2 yet, year-old Arctic fox. Now, Arctic foxes are adorable. I think most of us can probably agree on that. And Loki is very fuzzy. Do you not want the egg? You love egg. Whatever. Anyone want a hard-boiled egg? No, I'm kidding. That's gross. You want some of it? You want to take the piece you want? No? He's used to us hard-boiling the eggs from him. This one came pre-hard-boiled, and he's picky. Now, he is an Arctic fox, and you can tell because of that thick, white, fluffy coat, right? Yeah. Arctic foxes are pretty iconic for that thick white coat, but that thick white coat helps them out. What do you guys think that thick white coat might help them do? There's 2 things. What do you think? Yep. It keeps them warm? That's one of them, absolutely. In the wintertime, in the Arctic, it's pretty cold, right? So this thick white winter coat keeps him nice and warm in that habitat. It insulates him, and that way he knows he's not gonna freeze. But what is the other thing it helps him do? Let's see. What do you think of the pink sweater? He blends in with the snow, right? So in the snow, buddy, I know. Now Loki got the whole summer off because it was a really hot summer this year. So he's just getting back on the road now this time of year. So he's not quite used to being back working. And so he's like, all right, I'm done, right? This is it. I came out, but no, you gotta hang out for 1 more minute. What did you eat? Why are you hacking everything up? Now, he blends in with the snow. Out in the Arctic, there's a lot of snow and ice. That fur helps him blend in. And it blends in not just with the snow in order to protect himself. It also blends in with the snow in order to keep him safe from prey. Prey animals might see him if he doesn't have that white coat and then he doesn't have food. He wants to eat, so that white coat helps keep him safe from predators, but also from prey. Now, if that helps him stay warm and blend in, do you guys think he looks like this all year? Raise your hand if you do. Raise your hand if you think, yes, Loki is white and fuzzy all year long. All right, and now raise your hand if you think Loki does not have his white fur all year long. It looks like a lot of you guys already knew this because Arctic foxes actually change color throughout the year. During the summer, Arctic foxes lose that thick white coat and they actually turn black or even brown. And they do that because is there a lot of snow in the summertime? No, not even in the Arctic. The Arctic summers get like 50 degrees, which for an Arctic fox is hot. It's like, I don't want this big winter coat. So instead, they have a thinner black or brown or gray coat that they use to keep themselves still warm, but that way it's not super hot, and also they don't have to blend in with the snow anymore. There's no more snow. All right, I think Loki's ready to go. Are you ready to go, buddy? Now, one of the important things about, most of that made it in. One of the really important things about animal care is knowing when your animal is done. There you go. We always want to make sure that that animal is comfortable and happy. We never want to stress him out more than is absolutely necessary. So with him looking for an escape, that means it's time to go, but it looks like he's laid down for a minute, so we can probably take maybe a question or two about him before we officially move on. I know. Thank you for kisses. I love you too. Any questions about Loki the Arctic fox? Sorry, can you repeat that for me? He interrupted. Does he like the winter? He loves the winter. He's mad because we don't have any snow yet. Anyone else mad that we don't have any snow yet? You want to know who's not mad that we don't have any snow yet? I haven't had to shovel a thing. It's awesome. You guys love snow? Wait until you have to clean it off your car when you're already running 30 minutes late. All right, you ready to go, Loki Pokey? Come on, it's okay. It's okay, come on. Peekaboo. Come on. Don't bite me, I'm gonna pick you up, okay? Thank you. Oh, good boy. All right, well, we're gonna put Loki away. He's gonna go take his nap. Do we have any other quick questions about him before we move on, though? What was that? You like him? I think a lot of people like him. Who here likes Loki? Yeah. Anyone here know what our 2 foxes that live here in New England are? We have 2 species. What's one of them?
Red foxes.
The red fox is one of them.
The gray fox.
The gray fox is the other. Good job. So red and gray foxes are our 2 species. The red fox is closely related to the Arctic fox. They are cousins. Gray foxes are not. Gray foxes are actually pretty unique. They actually, if you look at the dog family, the canine family where foxes belong, everything broke off from a common ancestor, right? There was like the original dog. And it didn't look very much like a dog at all. But as that branched off, you had all the wolves, right? They all branched off. And then after the wolves branched off, the foxes branched off from that. The gray fox branched off even before the wolves did. So they're the original canine, which is crazy. You can tell that they're different because gray foxes have protractable claws, like a cat. That means they can bring their claws in, stick their claws out, they can climb up trees. And the reason the red fox is super common around here in New England is because the gray fox. People from Europe came over here to New England, and one thing that people in Europe loved to do was fox hunt. They would send a bunch of dogs out and they'd chase a fox and then you'd hunt the fox. Gray foxes they started doing that. The dogs started chasing the gray fox. You wanna know what the gray fox did? Doo-doo-doo, went up the tree. Nobody was used to that, so that's why we have red foxes here. They brought them over because we couldn't exactly do our traditions. Now, foxes are really important for the environment. They control pest species like rodents. They're also very adaptable. So even though Loki might not be the most adaptable animal in the world, living only in the Arctic, red foxes and gray foxes are really important. So if you ever see one, count yourself lucky, because they're one of our coolest and most important animals around here. All right, so that is our first North American animal. He also counts as our European and Asian animal. So we're gonna go to our other North American animal today. Now, North America is made up of a bunch of countries. Most of them are down in Central America, Costa Rica, stuff like that. But if you're talking about North America as we know it, there's 3 major countries. Anyone know what they are? What are the 3 countries you usually think of? The United States, Canada, and Mexico. Very good job. This animal that's coming out, the Arctic fox, he can be found in Canada and the United States. The United States specifically being Alaska. This animal is only found in the United States. And it's only found in a couple states down south. Some of the states include Louisiana, Texas, North Carolina, and most famously, Florida. Anyone ever been to Florida? Yeah. So Florida's famous for their wildlife, right? They have all kinds of animals. They have black bears, they have Florida panthers, they have sharks and dolphins in the ocean. They have a weird mouse that walks around on 2 legs and runs a bunch of theme parks, right? But I would say the single most famous animal in Florida is this right here. This is little Irwin, and little Irwin is one of 2 animals. Anyone want to guess what he is? Alligator or crocodile. So raise your hand if you think little Irwin is an alligator. Raise your hand if you think he's a crocodile. Raise your hand if you don't want to be wrong, so you're not going to guess. And raise your hand if you think he might be something else. So there is a third. Anyone ever heard of a caiman? Who's ever heard of a caiman before? Caimans are the third crocodilian. There's actually 4. But nobody's ever heard of a gharial. Anyone ever heard of a gharial before? You have? Are you a reptile guy? Yeah. Anyone else ever heard of a gharial? Like 3 people? Yeah. So I'll tell you, he's not a gharial. But he could be an alligator, he could be a crocodile, and he could be a caiman. So I'm going to tell you guys the 3 major differences between those 3 animals. The first major difference is the shape of his snout. Alligators have a short, round snout that looks like an A. Crocodiles have a long, pointy snout that looks like a V. And caimans have a squared off snout that looks like a box. So if you can take a look at his mouth, take a look and see if it's short and round, long and pointy, or kind of medium and squared off. The other way, yeah, I knew that was a bad idea. The other way that you can tell is kind of hard for you guys because you're kind of far away, but I can go down and show you. So the other way is to look at the dots. Alligators have dots on their chins and on their lips. That's where their dots are, and those dots are sensors. They help them in the water and they feel waves. So if you jump in the water, those dots, they pick up the waves and they can tell how big or small you are and if you're food or if you're prey or a threat. Crocodiles have those dots all over their scales, and caimans have those on their chins and their scales. So I'm going to bring them around, at least for our first front row, to take a look at. And we're going to see if we think he is a crocodile, caiman, or alligator. No matter what he is, though, I do need to remind you, he is dangerous, so please keep our hands to ourselves. Don't stick your hands up as we are looking at this animal. So look for those dots, see if they're on the chin, see if they're on the scales, see if they're on both, and that should help you tell what kind of animal he is. The third way to tell is based on where you are in the world. Crocodiles are found in Africa, Asia, Australia, South America, the Caribbean, and other areas around that, as well as southern Florida. Alligators are found in the United States and China, and caimans are found in Central South America, as well as Florida. So I mentioned Florida. All 3 of those animals are found in Florida. So it's kind of hard to tell based on where you are, especially because we're right here in New Hampshire and none of these animals live there. All right, guys, I'm sorry I couldn't bring it all the way to the back, but I'm going to head back up to the stage so we can take a look at this guy. Now that we have gone over the differences, I want you guys to, can you stop that? Stop turning. All right, so raise your hand if you think he is an alligator with a short, round snout and dots on his chin. All right, raise your hand if you think he's a crocodile with long, pointy snout and dots on his scales. And raise your hand if you think he's a caiman with the dots on both and the short box snout. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you said he was a caiman, then congratulations. You guys are wrong. Not a caiman. If you said he's a crocodile, you're also incorrect because this is, in fact, an American alligator. Now, the way you can tell he's an alligator is that snout, those dots on the chin, as well as the fact that I told you he's an alligator. It's a pretty surefire way to know. Now, alligators are amazing animals. Crocodiles and caimans, too. In fact, who here likes dinosaurs? Who likes dinosaurs? Yeah, I love dinosaurs. Dinosaurs don't exist anymore. At least not in the way we think of them. Birds exist, and they're basically dinosaurs, right? But dinosaurs, the T-Rex is not walking around anymore, as much as some of us would like it to be. These guys are. And if you brought a dinosaur back from the past, and you brought it to the future, and you brought him to the zoo, he wouldn't recognize any of those fuzzy animals. Mammals, not very common in the Cretaceous period. But if you brought him to the reptile house and he laid his eyes on alligators, he'd be like, hey, I know him. Because alligators started evolving and basically haven't changed since the mid-Jurassic period. These animals have been around for such a long time, millions and millions of years. Over the 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs went extinct, right? These animals have been around over 100 million years, pretty much unchanged, because they're the perfect animal. They're the best animal. End of story. They're not my favorite, although he's pretty close to being up there. They're not the coolest in my opinion, but they are the best, like scientifically. The reason they're the best, they haven't changed. That just shows they were perfect from the get-go. Some of the things that they do, they can swim 20 miles an hour using this powerful tail. They can run 15 miles an hour. So even on land, you ain't escaping a gator. They have a bite force of 2,900 pounds per square inch, giving them the second strongest bite in the world behind only the saltwater crocodile. His bite is stronger than a great white shark's. Yeah. In fact, even at this size, his bite could easily take my hand off. Yeah. Now, alligators are also ambush predators, so they just wait for the animals to come up and sneak up and get to them. But, like I said, they use these dots, right? And those dots, they can tell if you're food or not. So if you go in and you make a big cannonball, they're going to register that, they're going to swim away. You're too big. If you're sitting there and you're kicking your feet off the dock, he might come up and check that out, because that sounds like maybe a small animal struggling to swim. So what they're going to do is any bass fishermen out here? Anyone like bass fishing? Because I like this analogy. If you go in a bass boat, right, you have your big main motor, right? And that motor, you're cruising through the water. That's how he's going, big main motor through the water. But if you're going to the spot to get your bass, are you using the main motor? No, right? You're using your trolling motor. It's a smaller motor to not scare the fish away. So he's going to use his trolling motors. He's going to creep up and he's going to wait. He's going to get closer and closer until the animal's within range. Now the deer that's taken a drink of the water doesn't even see the gator approaching. He's sneaking up, quiet, quiet. He's got his eyes locked on his food. Then he's going to jump out. And he's going to grab hold of whatever it is on the bank. He's going to pull it in the water and drown it. Now, here in New Hampshire, we don't have alligators anymore. Yeah, some of you guys gave me a weird look like that. Alligators have never been native to New Hampshire, but there was a year, in the year 2007, that alligators could be found in the wilds of New Hampshire. The reason? That's the year that they became illegal to own as a pet. Until 2007, you could go to a Petco and buy an alligator. In 2007, they said, hey, that's an animal that gets 15 feet long, weighs up to 500 pounds, can kill a person with a single bite or a hit to the head from the tail. Probably shouldn't let people have that anymore. And anyone know what our state motto is? Live free or die, right? So when the government came calling and said, hey, can't have your alligator anymore, people here said, live free or die, I'm not giving my gator to the government. And so they let them go into lakes, particularly that one over there. Now, lakes in New Hampshire had sporadic reports of alligators being released into them in the year 2007. The cool thing about it is you don't have to worry about them anymore. Most of those gators, if they were real, got caught. Any that didn't get caught, they're dead. Alligators can't handle cold temperatures, and our cold winters, at least back then when their winters were cold, they couldn't handle it. Now, there are no gators in Lake Winnipesaukee. You guys can swim in there fine. But if you ever take your time machine back to the year 2007, be a little careful. Now, little Irwin here is really cool. He's really chill. He's my buddy. I've worked with little Irwin for a while. So he knows me, trusts me, which means that I can do something. You guys want to see me open his mouth? Yeah, thought so. So I'm going to open his mouth. What I want you guys to remember is, 1, I am a trained professional. I've been working with alligators 3 days, so I know what I'm doing. Number 2, if I do get bit and I lose my hand, stay calm. I get 3 days off of work paid. So we're good. And number 3, please never do what I do. I am a trained professional. I also have insurance. If you guys do this, I just look like a bad educator. All right, are you guys ready to see his mouth? Here we go. Take a look at that. Now, there's his mouth, 75 razor sharp teeth, a bite force of 2,900 pounds per square inch. This is an animal that you don't want to put your fingers anywhere near his mouth. Nobody? Okay. Now, you guys want to see something even crazier? He can't open his mouth anymore. That's all it takes. He physically cannot open his mouth now. All of his strength, all of the muscles in his mouth go to closing it. So to open his mouth, there's almost nothing there. Any amount of force on his mouth, he physically cannot open it anymore. So if you've anyone ever been to Florida where they tape up the gator's mouths and you like take a picture with it? The reason they tape it is because they literally can't break that tape. They can't do it. So I can go like this, he opens that mouth fine. As soon as there's any pressure on it, can't open it anymore. Now that doesn't mean that's how you should do it, right? I don't think you should go putting your fingers near alligator mouths just to keep their mouths closed. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to defend yourself against an alligator, it's a pretty effective way to do it. Is the size of a house? That would be a big alligator. It could eat the whole house. I promise there's no alligators that big. Yeah, I don't think there's any animals that big except maybe like blue whales. But they only eat like little shrimp. Now we're gonna put him away, but there is something we have to do. We do have to say goodbye to little Irwin. So everyone say goodbye to little Irwin. You guys have clearly never met an alligator. They're very sentimental creatures. They don't like saying goodbye. It feels far too final for them. They want to know that they'll see you again. So you can't say goodbye to him. He'll cry crocodile tears the whole way home. So instead, anyone know what we're supposed to say to little Irwin? All right, so on the count of 3, we're all going to say, see you later, alligator, to little Irwin. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. See you later, alligator. There you go, buddy. All right. Yep. All right.
Oh, I have a big mouth. It's prize time. Tickets to Wolfeboro Trolley Company go to Travis Couture. Travis? Courtesy of the Wolfeboro Trolley Company. And a $100 birthday party at Lake up the street, the new Lego store. Atticus, Alamoolu. Nobody? Okay. Do you want to take another one? Oh, you're here? Is that you?
All right. So we're going to move to our next animal. We're going to go down to South America next and meet an animal I think everyone's going to love. But I do need everyone to keep our voices as quiet as we can for this animal. They are very reactionary to loud noises. They do scare them, and his teeth are about this big. I don't really want to get bit by that. So, as cute as he is, you're going to want to say, "Aw," and that's allowed, but try to keep it to a reasonable level, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Here he is. This is Diego. And Diego is an animal most of you have probably never heard of before. Anyone think they know what he is? He is not a lemur, he is not a possum, and he is not a chinchilla. You are very correct, he is. This is a coati or a coatimundi. Anyone ever heard of a coati before? Couple of us. Who's never heard of a coati? This is your first time. There we go. Now isn't it awesome when someone takes out an animal that you've never even knew existed? I always think that's cool. I always like seeing people's reactions to like, that's a real thing and not a Muppet. But yeah. So this is Diego. Diego is a coatimundi. He is a baby. He's about a year old. And coatimundis are one of the smartest little animals on the planet. Is he gonna bite me? Probably not, but he might. Come here, stinkabutt. There, let's belly rubs. Oh, there we go. There we go, that's better. Now, coatis are members of the raccoon family. So if you were thinking he looks like a raccoon, then you are correct, because he kind of does. The big difference between coatis and raccoons is coatis come out during the day and raccoons come out when? Raccoons come out at night. So coatis and raccoons, very similar. Can you not do that? Can you not? That wasn't very nice. He smells the hard-boiled egg I threw out. And he likes food too much. I know, you want some, but I don't have any more. I threw it away. Stop. Now, coatis, they live down in Central and South America, although you can find coatis up in North America, in places like Mexico, as well as in the United States, in Arizona and Texas. Where are you going? What you doing? You going on the ground? Why are you going? Now, coatis are really cool because they have that amazing sense of smell. If you look at his nose, you can tell he smells really well. He doesn't smell good. He smells very bad. But he is able to smell very, very well. Now, he also can climb headfirst up a tree and then headfirst down a tree as well. He can rotate his ankles in order to be able to climb up and down. Now here in New Hampshire, we have 2 animals that can do that. Anyone know the 2 animals that can rotate their ankles to climb up and down a tree? Let's see, squirrel is one of them. Chipmunks are squirrels, so it doesn't count. Anyone know what the other one is? A bear? Bears cannot do that. If you've ever watched a bear, they shuffle down backwards and a lot of times they fall out of the tree. What do you think? Raccoons also cannot do it, as surprising as that might sound. Let's see, what do you think? A what? A cat? Cats cannot. Cats get stuck in trees and then you gotta call the fire department. Possums cannot. Way back there in the red, what do you think? Porcupine? Porcupines cannot either. But porcupine's main predator is the one we're looking for. Way back there. Nope. You quit? What do you think? Fishers. Fishers are the other animal that can turn those ankles around, climb headfirst up a tree, and then headfirst back down one. Fishers, raccoons, or fishers and coatis are unique in that capacity. Now, I think they're really smart, I think they're really clever, and I think they're really cute. What do you guys think? Yeah. He's gonna try to steal my keys from my pocket is what he wants to do. Now, I went down to Costa Rica when I was in college, and I got to watch coatis in the wild. I got to watch them specifically do something. It was a Sunday morning, I wasn't working that day, and so I was out down in Costa Rica just bird watching. And eventually I heard a weird squeak that I'm like, that's not a bird, that sounds like a coati. So I grabbed my binoculars to look at him, and the coati was jumping into a bush, biting something, jumping back. Jump in, bite something, jump back. In, out, like that. I grabbed my binoculars to see what he was biting. It was a 10-foot long boa constrictor. Huge 10-foot long snake. And so, as you would imagine can you stop being trouble? I brought a hard-boiled egg and now he's not gonna settle down. Usually he'll just curl up in my arms, but it's because of that egg. I don't usually bring Loki and a coati together. Now, that coati was jumping in, biting that snake, jumping back, jumping in, bite, jump out, and eventually that snake finally got sick and tired. Can you stop? There is somebody in there. That coati got sick and tired that snake got sick and tired of that coati, and what he ended up doing is he bit this coati and he started squeezing him. Now, as sad as that is, nobody wants to think of a big, mean, evil snake eating a little baby coati, right? But you gotta remember, who started the fight? This is the coati. That snake was minding his own business. But the snake started squeezing the coati, and as sad as that is, it's nature, and so I was watching, like it was a documentary. And I noticed that coati was smarter than anything else I'd seen snakes eat that week. I'd seen monkeys get squeezed by snakes. I'd seen all kinds of animals. But the coati was the only one to figure it out that every time he took a breath, the snake squeezed tighter. Now, when a snake is constricting, they squeeze based on how you breathe. So if you're, he's squeezing, squeeze, making it harder and harder to breathe until you pass out. It's a pretty good way to kill your prey, right? Works for snakes. The coati figured that out, and after 2 breaths, he held his breath. And the snake, because they're not very smart, was like, all right, he's dead, time to eat. So the snake started unwrapping, which gave the coati enough strength to bite the snake as hard as he could. The snake, being now in immense pain, as these giant teeth out front, teeth that are like this long on an adult coati, those giant teeth bit down, the snake opened his mouth, he let him go, and the coati got away. But that's not the end of our story, no. Because coatis, first off, I should preface this, animals can't be evil. Evil is a concept for people. Animals can't be bad, they can't be mean. Can they be territorial, defensive? Yes. But they're not mean, they're not aggressive, they're not evil. Usually. There's a couple animals I would argue maybe could be evil. Chimpanzees. Not only could they be, they are. Dolphins. Dolphins are smart enough that they can be evil and they do really nasty things. And coatis are up there. This coati that I noticed was vindictive. And as soon as that snake got away, stop being trouble. As soon as that coati got out of the snake's grasp, he squeaked like you guys heard him do to me. And as that squeak happened, 30 other coatis came out of the woodworks. And they ripped the poor snake into pieces. They killed and later ate a 10-foot-long boa constrictor as a group. So even though that coati started the fight, he also finished it. All right, well, we're going to put the coati away. Any questions about him before we move on? Why is he squeaking? Because he doesn't want me holding him right now. He wanted me to let him go so he could go terrorize the fox. That's what he wanted. They do squeak, yeah. They squeak to call their other friends, and they also squeak to tell predators to go away. Yep. Why do I have what? This?
Why do you have the coati?
Oh, the coati. Why do we have him? To teach about him. Yep, that's why we have him. All right, we're going to move to our last question, and then we'll move on. How big can they get? About 15 pounds maximum. So about the size of like a medium to large house cat. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move to our next animal, and we are going to go to Africa. And I need some volunteers to help me out. I need 3 volunteers. You guys don't know what you're volunteering for? I just said I need volunteers and you put your hands up. That's an insane thing to do. You guys don't want to make it to the new year, do you?
No, I really don't.
All right, I need 3 volunteers to come get eaten by a tiger to show how many kids a tiger can eat. Did I see more of you put your hands up? All right, now everyone sit down for me. I need 3 volunteers that like bugs. If you don't like bugs, this is not the animal for you. I need 3 volunteers who like bugs, insects, 6-legged creepy crawlies. Let's see. How about 1? Do you want to do it? No, you had your hand up. Okay. Do you want to do it? All right. You can come up. Then we can go. I'm going to pick people sitting nice and quiet. How about in the stripes in the back? And then how about my friend in the blue button up? All right. So if I picked you, come on up. And we're going to introduce you. You guys like bugs? Yeah? Okay. So you guys can come stand on the mat when you get up here. Come stand right on the mat right in front. All right. Can I get your names? What's your name? Sophia. Wyatt. Ellie. All right. Sophia, Wyatt, and Ellie. You guys like bugs?
Yes, I love bugs.
You love bugs? You're okay with bugs being in your hands?
I love spiders.
Even bugs that move?
Yep.
And they might tickle, and they look like bugs, and they are bugs, and they have 6 legs. You guys are all okay with that? So if I take a bug and I put it in your hand, you're not going to drop the bug? You're not going to run away screaming because it's a bug. And you know what kind of animal is it?
I don't know.
What kind of animal is it? It's a bug, right? Can you guys say what kind of animal it is?
No, it's a bug. Well,
It's a bug. All right. I'm just covering my bases. Because sometimes I get someone up here and they're like, I don't like bugs. Well, you kind of knew. All right, you guys ready? We're going to meet a cool bug from Africa. So everyone turn and face everybody and put your hands out. All right, and hold it just like this.
What is it?
Here we go.
Whoa, what are these?
What are these?
Well,
Do you guys think you know? Anyone, do you guys know what they are?
what?
They are cockroaches. These are our Madagascar hissing cockroach. Now, I said cockroach and a bunch of people went, ew. And the reason is everybody thinks cockroaches. Where do they live? What kind of environment? Dirty places, right? Who thinks cockroaches live where it's dirty? That's actually not true. Cockroaches don't choose dirty places. They choose places with food. So if there's food available, they'll eat it, dirty or clean. Their favorite food? Dead plants and rotten food. I'll take them back. Very good job. Everyone give a big round of applause to our volunteers. You guys can go. Thank you, guys. Oh, don't. Yeah, I'm going to have you use the stairs. Yeah, there we go. Now, the Madagascar hissing cockroach is pretty unique amongst cockroaches. For one reason, they hiss. These guys store air up in their carapace, that's this top part of their exoskeleton, and when they get scared, they release that air and it sounds like a tss. And if you're not expecting your food to scream at you, when you go to take a bite of it, it might affect you, right? So an animal like a lemur or a monkey or something goes and tries to eat it, tss, they're gonna drop it, they get scared. Now, they're also unique amongst cockroaches because they're the only cockroaches in the world that don't have wings. Yes, you're welcome. Every other cockroach can fly. There's a fact for you. Now, I'm going to put 2 of them away because they're kind of just wiggling around in my hands. But These cockroaches are really important out in their environment. They eat decaying and dead wood and plants. In fact, their homes are usually in rotten wood. So cockroaches will hang out in rotten wood and just eat it. It's like us living in a giant pizza. It's just you're in your food. Now, people always say cockroaches only live where it's dirty, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I have seen cockroaches in some of the cleanest places in the world. Anyone ever been down to Disney World? People in Disney World, they always say it's like one of the cleanest places ever. I've seen more cockroaches at Disney World than I have anywhere else in the world. Because it's big, there's a lot of food. Cockroaches hang out there. I've seen cockroaches in the Plaza Hotel in New York City. Yeah, one of, again, the cleanest places in the world. Seen cockroaches. Because cockroaches are around food and around people. They're not around dirty stuff. It just so happens the dirty places usually have more food. Now this cockroach here, he doesn't just look for food, he is food for a lot of animals on the island of Madagascar. In fact, lemurs, chameleons, birds, humans, lizards, they're all animals that eat these cockroaches. Humans. Raise your hand if you would eat a cockroach if given the opportunity. Raise your hand if you would eat a cockroach if someone paid you a lot of money to do it. And raise your hand if you would never, ever, 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 ever eat a cockroach because that's disgusting. I lived in Madagascar for 6 months, and every Friday they would fry up cockroaches on the fire as a community building exercise. I lived in a village in the jungle. They kept a lot of their ancient traditions. So they would cook up, just stick a cockroach with a stick, and you'd cook it on the fire like a marshmallow. And every Friday that they did that, my friend and I, who were living in the village, borrowed one of the villagers' cars. We went to the airport and we got beef jerky. Because I wasn't about to eat any cockroaches. But on my last day there, it happened to be a Friday. The next day we were going to fly out. The villager whose car we borrowed, he said, if you don't eat a cockroach, we're not letting you use the car to get to the airport tomorrow. And we said, fine, we'll Uber. There's no Ubers in the jungles of Madagascar. So I had to eat a cockroach. And it didn't taste that bad. It was kind of nutty. It was all right. You want to know what the big issue with it was? The texture. I'm a very sensitive to texture person. Anyone like that? Anyone really sensitive to food texture? Yeah. And this was like biting through like really thin, hard caramel. It had that crunch. But like the inside was like the texture of a Cadbury cream egg. But it was savory instead of sweet. It was a horrible texture. I've heard they're better fried, like if you fry them they're all right, but cooked over an open fire, Now, the thing about cockroaches is they're really tough too. In fact, cockroaches can survive without a head for up to 14 days. Yeah, if a cockroach loses its head, it can survive for 2 weeks before it dies. Anyone know why it eventually dies once that head's gone? Yeah. What does a cockroach need to do with its head? Do you know? Here, no. They can't eat or drink, right? So, they'll die after 14 days because they'll literally starve. But cockroaches can move around without a head for 14 days. Any cockroach questions before we move to our last animal? They don't need to see, they feel everything with their legs. Yeah, they have little feelers on their legs that help them move around. All right, I need one more volunteer to help me out. Now, if you already volunteered for the roaches, put your hands down. But I need a volunteer with gross, dirty hands. Someone who thinks your hands are the dirtiest in the world. You haven't washed your hands since the day you were born. Just gross nastiness. Let's see. How about... You want to help me out? Yeah, come on up. All right. All right, you are taking the longest route to get there. There we go. All right, come on up. What's your name? Jameson. Jameson, stand right here. Let me see. Oh, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
You're a New Year's Eve baby? Mom couldn't hold out for a couple more hours? First of the year, no? No, I'm kidding. Jameson, let me see those hands. Ew. What did you do to those?
Thank you.
Oh. All right, Jameson, I need you to repeat after me, okay? Say it out to them. Say, I. Jameson.
Jameson.
Say it a little louder.
Jameson.
Promise
Promise.
that after the show,
That after the show,
I'm going to go to that bathroom
I'm gonna go to that bathroom.
and I'm going to wash
And I'm gonna wash
my disgusting,
my disgusting,
dirty,
dirty,
gross,
gross,
unwashed
unwashed
hands.
hands.
All right, Jameson, go sit down.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding. Come here. I'm kidding. That would be mean, wouldn't it? All right, Jameson, hold those hands up. I recommend rolling the sleeves up a little bit because he's a little bit big. All right, Jameson, you ready to meet my friend Trevor?
yeah.
Do you want to hold him? You don't want to hold him? Do you want to give him a little pat? That's it? Give him a little pat like that. No? All right, Jameson. Well, if you don't want to hold him, you don't have to. Do you want to pick somebody to do it? You don't want to pick? All right, you don't have to. Well, Jameson, you can go sit down. Thank you. Happy birthday. Let's see. Yeah, round of applause for Jameson. Let's see. How about my friend in the Spurs jersey? All right. Come on up. This is a toad. We'll talk about him here in a second. All right, come on up. What's your name, my friend?
I'm Cal.
What was that?
Cal.
Cal? All right, Cal, you do want to hold him? All right, put those hands out like this. And hold him just like that. There we go. All right, so this is called a cane toad. The cane toad is the largest toad in the world. Trevor here is not fully grown. He can actually get the size of a car's steering wheel. And he's also the single most poisonous toad on the planet. He has enough poison to kill 3 grown adults. That's why I'm not holding him. No, I'm kidding, Cal. Oh no! There it is, it's the poison! Cal! Here you go. It's already wet, I promise it's just water. All right, that wasn't poison, Cal. You know what that was? That was pee. All right. But you know what they say? When a toad pees on you, that's good luck. Yeah. So you're going to have a great new year, Cal. All right, everyone give Cal a big round of applause. Normally the toad saves that for me, so thanks for taking the bullet, Cal. Now, I did say he's poisonous and Cal gave me a look, but I promise Cal was totally safe. The reason he was safe is, as far as I saw, he didn't lick, bite, or eat the toad. He's in the bathroom, so we'll have to wait to ask him. But as long as you don't lick, bite, or eat the toad, that poison stays inside. The poison is kept here in these poison glands right on his shoulder. I can't make him pee. He pees whenever he wants. Now, if you squeeze that, the poison leaks out. If he gets scared, that poison leaks out and coats his back. And if you're an animal trying to eat him, that poison coats his back and you end up getting really sick. Now, the poison usually doesn't kill because in order for enough poison to be consumed to kill, then the toad has to be like entirely eaten, and that doesn't really work for the toad. If the toad gets eaten and then kills the animal that ate him, that's just kind of vengeance. It doesn't help the toad, he's still dead. So, that poison is there just to make other animals sick. But if you take an animal that lives in an environment that is super poisonous, that it only has 1 or 2 predators, and you bring it to an environment that doesn't have any of those predators, they become really dangerous. This toad's main predator are coatis. So Diego earlier, they eat these guys. They take them like this, they flip them on their back, and they eat them from the belly. And they do that because the poison coats the back. If you're eating it from the belly, none of that poison gets through. Coatis figured that out. In fact, that's another similarity between coatis and fishers. Fishers do the same thing to their prey. Anyone know what fishers eat the most of? Humans, cats, and dogs. They don't eat humans. They don't usually eat dogs, and keep your cat inside and it'll be fine. But good guess, but no. Their main prey is something else. Porcupines. They flip the porcupine over, they eat it from the belly. Avoid those quills. So toads do something really cool like that. Or coatis do that really cool thing. However, this animal isn't representing his home of South America. He's representing Australia. And the reason he's representing Australia is that's where these guys are most commonly found. They were brought in as an invasive species. They were brought in to control cane beetles, which eat sugar cane. The issue with that, cane toads don't eat cane beetles. Cane beetles are this big and they fly and climb. Toads are this big and they don't. So that'd be like us eating one Tic Tac for dinner. Not going to be a very good dinner, right? No. So, these toads spread across Australia. They have 50,000 babies at a time. The babies are poisonous as eggs and as tadpoles, as well as adults. Animals that eat the toad eventually get poisoned and die. So those toads in Australia, unfortunately, are all over the place because of our mistakes. They are the second most invasive animal in Australia, behind only cats. Cats are number one. Domestic cats have wiped out 66 species to extinction, gone forever. So toads, they're only at like 1 or 2, so cats are still worse. All right, well, we're gonna wrap this up with our final animal. And the final animal, I'm gonna stand right where you are. So can I have you back up a little bit? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this animal out, I'm gonna hold it. You guys are gonna be able to form a line. Hold on, not yet. We're gonna form a line, come pat it, and then you can exit that way. I'll take him out in just a second, but I did wanna say I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, my name is Colby, and if you didn't and it was the worst thing you ever sat through and you can't believe you did, my name is Derek. Thank you guys for coming out. I hope you did enjoy the show. If you did, have a happy new year, and if you didn't, don't. But yeah, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Roy G. Biv, and Roy is our Brazilian rainbow boa. So if you would like to meet and pat Roy, we're going to line up this way. If you don't, have a great night. Thank you guys for coming out. Enjoy. Happy New Year. All right, guys, I'm coming down.